This is episode 34 of Sigarius Dracus Plays, Oxygen Not Included. How are we doing today? It's been a minute. I am still recording over the pre-recorded stuff that doesn't have dubbing on it, so we're basically dubbing over what happened last time. And we're going to continue on in our journey here with the Shinebug reactor. So at the end of the last one, we let some of the eggs out when we rebuilt the out of that thing. So a whole bunch of shine bugs got out, or eggs got out, and we let them out. To make sure that our ranchers never get stuck in there, we put a pressure plate in there. This room's going to rebuild itself, and the shine bug reactor will start going back to normal, and everything will be fine. We're going to grab those two guys, and we're going to put them in the main room so that the sweeper can do its job. High priority. Sorry. Those shine bugs are going to run free because they basically have that one little gap that they can run and do whatever they want in. Eventually, in 25 cycles, it'll wear itself out. We'll sweep up all those eggs, bind any of the weird ones. So right here, I'm stopping the egg grabbing until there's 8 actually in the room, because one of the problems that we've been having is that we're sweeping the eggs. We're sweeping the eggs prematurely when we should be filling up this one and then having the secondary breeding room. But that's okay. We're going to set it to 8. And it's just to count critters and eggs. We're also making sure that this one counts critters, not eggs. Because eggs are, although really they should be sent into this room here to hatch as eggs. We don't care if that room gets compressed, but that main room and our reactor, we both want them to have. I actually don't mind if they're compressed in the stable. Yeah, here I'm gonna trim this. We've been having a bit of power problems, I've noticed, and this having that building right there is just absolutely useless. We don't have any lead to do anything with. Here's our setup right here for getting our items. It just launches. Make sure that we're at 500 rad volts. We almost are. A day or two of production should get this back. All of our let's sweep this polluted or petroleum back. Our solution is messing up because we're having too thin of an atmosphere here, and we're just running this pipe wrong. I need to do some better work on it because it's just sitting there pumping right now. This is not a... We've talked about this before, but that's not a great pump in. Yeah, look how much water we put in there. It's nice and 40 degrees. How are we going to do this properly? Maybe we do it with a liquid sensor. Just looking at this room, trying to get this room back to being steam again. Another thought I had is that we should build batteries into this room and put a whole bunch of batteries in here, and that'll help stabilize the temperature a little bit better. So I think, yeah, I'm talking about right now, when the fuel goes through the refinery, it's not actually touching any of the water down below. So that's why it's overheating, is just because it's getting pumped and it's not actually able to get rid of its heat. Yeah, so we can get rid of this now and let this carbon dioxide float through. I was really thinking about carving this out and making more of a bigger steam room and having more things that actually do steam. Up here, this room is doing just fine. It seems to be pumping. If you notice, we are running our um our gas pump, and we shouldn't be doing that as much as we are. Much as we are, we need to fix the gas pump in there. I don't think we ever do though. We're gonna finish these off with the lid. I build a gas, or I build an airflow tile here to let out the gas in case there's a lot of pressure. And in the early time, um, these infinite storages here are going to have a little bit of problems because they're going to be storing the gases as well. This is a horrible idea. If you're going to do this, this idea, it doesn't work very well. I should have contained it fully and just let it chill down to the temperature that it's gonna be, and then just kept filling it up instead of what I've done, which is let out all of that material. So we have all this hydrogen and oxygen and we're talking about petroleum here. Yep, all the petroleum's gonna get let into that infinite storage. No problems there. That isn't technically an infinite storage because you're not gases allowed on, like we're not trapping any gases in that one. So we might need to remake the petroleum one with doors instead. Or a drop of another liquid that is gonna be liquid and a small amount of kilograms. So here I need power for this, so we're gonna join this stuff together. I'm joining two really heavy networks together, and I'm not really sure how well this is going to work out, but this also lets me get this line a little bit further. And we have all that petroleum, so we want to do something with this petroleum as well. So we're gonna do something here with this petroleum and make us a ton of plastic and a ton of power to power this stuff. And hopefully we shouldn't need much power. We shouldn't be dependent on much power here. Oh my gosh, I left a piece of plastic in there. Piece of regolith. I think I leave them in here. I don't actually pull them out. Hmm. Yeah, so really this is the nuts and bolts of a rocket transit center, right? You just have the right pipe, send it into the right area, and you'll and then make the infinite storage that you want it. It doesn't even have to be infinite. It can just be a rather large storage. And and then just right underneath the where your rocket, or right like to the side of where your rockets are going to be, so that your rockets aren't filling them up but in space. Yep. Nice. If you're going to do this, if you're following along and you want to do this, don't do what I did and put that air vent there. That air vent is gonna just allow that to all off gas. And I'd rather do is just let it sit there and off gas until it gets cold enough to become liquid by enough liquid in that temperature, or in that being brought back from the rocket. Instead, we let it off gas and it only brought in, or only cooled at a certain amount of temperature. And it also exchanged temperatures with the surrounding areas, which wasn't great. Doesn't do what I want it to do. I really want to get this I really want to get this petroleum used and happy. Let's see. Here we go. So it's going to cool off these metal tiles. Perfect. We want them frozen. The the vacuum atmosphere around it is going to make sure that if there is any accidents or oopsies like this, we really are letting go a ton of material. I shouldn't have done this. That is so much. That's diamond just floating away right there. Bye 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 bye. The pink and that liquid oxygen could have probably fed my base for a day. The hydrogen probably could have done it for 2 or 3 days. Could have sent a rocket into space already, but I made the mistake of putting that airflow vent in there. No worries. We're going to handle that. We will get that fixed for sure. All right. So we're just doing some automation in here. I think we're going to get rid of everything else that onto a single tile that we just don't want to deal with. And if we put a drywall back there and there's no liquid, there's no gas, we should just be able to release everything and it won't exchange temperatures with each other. So we can come and pick it up here, no problem. Alrighty. That lovely frozen iso resin. Oh yeah. Here we go. Let's select iridium. What else do we have in here? Mafic, gold, granite. All right, we'll get that stuff built, and that's just free material coming into our base. Not free; it costs diamond, the most expensive thing. But we have that process getting worked on, right? We have the peat engine, and the peat goes into the coal, and then the coal becomes the refined coal, and then the coal gets compressed into diamond by rad bolts, which is powered by our shine bug reactor, which needs phosphorite. Grub preserve for the win. This seems to be running okay, but we're still too hot in this room. We're not creating brine ice. This keeps breaking. I need to do something more ingenuitous. I don't know. I need to I need to have a good place to dump the heat from the metal. Which is why I'm thinking about like having battery storage in that area, because then I can just dump the heat off on the batteries. Here we're going to put in a light right here so that they're actually working properly. Come on, game. There we go. Get all those things, the right things just to crush. We're going to copy all this here and basically turn it off. I don't really want to use it anymore, and eventually we're going to get rid of it. Been saying that for 20 episodes, huh? Looking for petroleum and stuff here. I got a whole bunch of petroleum up in another base up there. I probably should do a pipe and fill it all. But I'm going to see if they'll give me some petroleum from laying around here. We're going to turn off these ones giving us petroleum here. Come on, babies. Dump that petroleum in there. Eventually they'll get onto it. That aqua turbine doing work there. Something else that I really want to do is I need to put on the floor of my steam room down here, I need to put metal tiles all along across the bottom of it, and then put insulation underneath those tiles, so that way I can have a more even distribution of heat in my room, and everything that touches the ground is gonna basically share heat. A little bit better than solid to gaseous conversion, which is horrible. Yeah, we're barely even cooking here. That one steam turbine, sorry, aqua tuner is doing work, draining our area of batteries. This takes diamond. Yep. Very, very small amounts of diamond for large amounts of fossil. Very small amounts. 1 kilogram for 100 kilograms of fossil. If you need to make steel in a hurry, that's how to do it. Yeah, see how it's rolling around and down there? We need to do a more solid solution so that it's not coming out of there horribly. We need it to dump its heat off. Yeah, we're just looking around here. Here's our two solution. We got chlorine and we got polluted oxygen, and it looks good. There's no water on top right there. I think that one's full because you can see that the water level in the tank is draining. We're gonna make sure that doesn't drain out and empty. I'm gonna have to do some serious work on this because this seems to be just having the worst day. I can't seem to get it cooled down enough. The liquid cooled down enough for doing steel. So, yep, I'm just thinking about different ways we can put this through here and not have it melt. The next thing we could do is do something like molten aluminum or something. Melt aluminum and oh geez. Just priority 9 that whole floor. Do something like molten aluminum, and then molten aluminum would last for a long time and shouldn't overheat. Here I'm making more petroleum because I would need more petroleum in the system here because we're just dumping it. Oh, now we got sulfur because we're dumping gunk in there, and when sulfur melts, you know it. We didn't even get all the petroleum out before that thing filled up. See, we built our infinite storages totally incorrectly here. This one almost have diamond. Are we waiting on what are we waiting on here? We need the iso resin to get out of there. Once this stuff gets out of there, yay, we can start dumping it right there. Very cool. Let's get stuff out of here. We're getting to that stage where we're unloading stuff nearly automatically for our duplicants to put in the next spot. Very nice. It's looking good. We'll eventually get that iso sap out of here, but it's not here yet. Is there anything in these? Nope. Nope. Just iso sap. And I just drop it on the ground because, that's what we do. The tiles should protect it, but if the steam goes off, it'll melt that iso sap, and then it'll go into the background. We're full here. What do we want to do with this? We need to turn this into plastic. Maybe here we could do some cooling off. I'm really considering what I'm going to be using to cool off this solution. Whether I use just some already frozen hydrogen that's not gonna that we freeze, that we get so close to frozen or not. But here we're going to build a power solution because we don't have a lot of power going on right now. And this power solution, both power and other stuff like plastic and the data disk. The data disks is also something we're thinking of. Back here, we're taking a look at this. It seems to be on and running. The battery's full. Something interesting to note is that I haven't completed the loop here to let that stuff come through the diamond press again. So our stored rad bolts are just going up into space and hitting there. Yeah, the storage bin picked up a whole bunch of stuff from down below. Getting these little babies. Ooh, we made sulfur. One more sweepy command, because this isn't gonna... The third time, I should have really just stopped the production of what I'm doing here and fixed it. By not fixing it, I am causing myself a whole bunch of errors that don't really help anything. These two refineries are pumping way too hot of petroleum, and the petroleum that I'm pumping back into it from that's just getting released is just too hot. And if you notice as well, I'm also generating a whole bunch of sour gas. And that's going to need to get taken care of. Do you know what you do with sour gas? You freeze it. And we happen to have an iridium solution, so we could technically make a sour gas boiler using space materials. Like a mini one that handles all of our petroleum to sour gas needs. Dump a whole lot of water and carbon dioxide into my base for sure, and power. Might be something to do. These are running, and that's not good. I don't want those ever running full out, and I think we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to put some power to this, and it's going to help all the rest of this stuff run. And we're just going to let the gas go into the air here. We don't care about that. And these should hopefully get cooled off. Looking on diamond. Here's my shovel ranch, and I overwatered it and killed the shovel that I never ever put into there. I don't know where the shovel went. He's gone. I put too much water in here. I let them put too much water in here, and really, there's an even newer Luma plays that takes this to the nth degree, and you don't need any of this water. You need none of this water. The only 2 drops that you need to have are yep, and see, look what I did. I just let them have that whole bit of water. Oh, man. I think I was exhausted playing this at the time. Bye-bye, water. Yep, see ya, water. Anyway, so we don't even need those anymore. You can put where my mouse is, you can put tiles there and then just fill it up with 2 different liquids, and that's good enough. You don't need to have the whole water underneath the tiles anymore. I don't even know if you ever really did, but this is a pretty great shovel ranch. It looks all right. I'm going to take this and totally screw it up because I look at that much water and I'm like, oh yeah, if we just had some salt water, this whole thing would be fine. which is not right because I didn't have enough salt water or enough regular water to float the salt water on top of it because the water is full. So, whoops. I should have poured salt water in there and then floated the water on top of it, but I didn't do that. We'll come in here at some point when we get a shovel again and fix this, and it'll be just fine. How do we worry about tiles forming? Once the shovels start getting in there, we'll do timed droplets with the conveyor loader so that we're only drawing in the appropriate amount every day. And here we're trying to fill this thing back up. Madness. It's just like we just dumped like 600 or 700 kilograms into the ground, and we're like, let's just rebuild this. And pretty much we're just waiting for a shovel here. I don't think a shovel would ever come and be able to make contact here with the walls. Bro, you're never gonna get to this point. Like you can wait for we can wait for 10 minutes. Let's go do something else. And I'm waiting for 400 kilograms per tile on average, but that's not really what we want. We actually need much more water than that. But again, this build is actually outdated. You don't need any of this water. You can just do the 2 tiles underneath the 2 edge tiles there, and then fill with water with 2 different liquids and call it good. They aren't able to jump across onto the wall, and they can't. If there's water, they won't be able to like swing down to the sides. They're not gonna willingly put themselves in water. So I think I'm cool here because I have 400 kilograms, which again is not enough. You need more. You need to fill the whole tile so that there's no room for any of the water to be displaced. And I don't do this. Watch, boom! All the water got displaced into the rest of the pool, and now I've got salt water here. And then and then quickly we will see that the same thing happens on the other side here. I'm like, oh, brine will fix that. No problem. Brine floats on top of salt water or sinks under salt water. Easy peasy. Bloop. Nope. I just delivered myself more salt water. If I had just not just mopped up the water that I had mopped up, I think that it would have been just fine. I don't think that there would have been any problem. I don't think we even needed a 2 liquid solution. I'm like, let's grab all this. Like, let's hook up the brine so we can pump in some brine here. We're trying to bridge the gap here. See, the same thing happened right there. Sad, sad, sad. And this is the most important thing we have to do this entire episode. Come on, Sigarius. Oh yeah, and you can see we thoroughly screwed this one up. Like, we're just pouring all kinds of different liquids in there in an attempt to make sure that they all float. Hey, there we got one side. We got one side floating there. Really, we just need brine or salt water or something. I think brine will slide down into the side, and salt water is just in that tile there. But you can see this one feels good to me. Oh, you see, oh, we pushed the water together even further. We can deconstruct this one. This one's fine. We're going to keep working on this one over here. Hey, kind of a little bit of a pushback on that one. Whoa, meteors. Are we safe? Is everything okay? No big deal. Nothing we care about. Oh, oh, some serious meteor damage here. We're gonna have to rebuild some of this stuff here. We're gonna cut this off here because this is just pushing gas out to nowhere. All of my rockets are fully fueled. We need to put some water in here to make sure that there's enough steam in here. So let's put a little bit of water in here. And then I'm like, nope, let's just put it into the regular spot. I'm not going to put it down on underneath anymore. We're going to keep it up top. We pumped out all of our steam out of this room. It seems to be a problem. We seem to be pumping steam out of our rooms. We're going to make them out of bunker tile. Yay! So now we have multiple gases just or multiple liquids just sitting there. There's some of them are brine and some of them are salt water, but ultimately they're just going to sit on that island and no big deal. So Shovel Ranch accomplished. We're looking at this. I wanted to see the temperature on this to make sure everything was okay for this build right here. It's been a pretty popular build. We're almost done here with this bottle, so let's go ahead and connect this together and get some steam into this room. Bloop. And also the water. Yeah, there we go. I just noticed I poured water there and it never turned into steam. It it got drank up by the liquid pump there. And it's gonna get poured out here in a second, just below where we usually pour our resin. Who's incapacitated? Oh my gosh. What's going on? What? People are scalding. What? What? Oh no. Oh no, we got dupes. Oh no. Let's put in a bunker tile right here. That'll stop them from coming out. Post haste. Oh, duplicants. Whew. Somebody will get to that at some point. It's the morning. Looking at my plants, looking to see if I can find that shovel. I notice he's finally gone, so where the heck could he possibly be? I don't know which different mode shows them. I know you can find pips or shovels. There is a view that lets you see them, but I don't see them with any of our views here. We got a lot of stuff or a lot of garbage just hanging out right there that maybe we need to clean up at some point. I really would like to do a better job with this, but it seems to be doing just fine right now. I noticed that it's not making any bleach. You got 2 arbor trees and 1 pip right there. And Wirdo's hurting again. Maybe we can do something with this. We're still looking for we're still looking for the shovel. He gone. I'm guessing he froze to death. I'm not really certain what happened. He was just a pup. Yeah, who knows where he could be. He could be in a tile somewhere. He could be in an area he could not want. Let's put in another tile right here. Yeah, I don't even think that that's going to be able to get built. Oh, we're scalding again. I like that natural look of our ceiling right there. That's very ONI looking ceiling. If we change one of these into a shovel, then if we ever get a shovel egg, then it'll at least get put in here. Or if our mystery shovel who just bailed on us, he probably went running. If our mystery shovel gets found again, then we can, he's gonna lay an egg once in his life. And if we can find him, then find his egg, then we can get shovels again. That Laura plant just chilling right there. That's a dartle. I keep letting polluted water into my hydrogen, which is not good. It breaks them, and it doesn't do wonderful things. I'm also noticing that my brine isn't being made brine anymore, where it's overheating. The room is overheating, and so it's not producing brine anymore. So we're not feeding our dartles. Man, where did he go? Maybe he went in there and got cooked. Maybe he fought the crab. We got shovel egg. Eh. Critter. We can go into critters and we can go look to see if there's any shovels. Shine nymph. I don't see any shovels, so he must have died. It says we only have one shine nymph too, which is incorrect. So I don't know how it's making that number, but that number is incorrect. We also should do something about our Megafront production, because if you notice, we are not actually producing any Megafront food. which is like half of our Frostburgers. And I think the reason for that is because we got too much brine sitting there. So let's go ahead and pull out all the brine and then figure out a solution with empty brine. We'll cool off this room here with the water, or like with the petroleum, instead of using the brine. We'll get that brine warmed up another way. Just looking at my area. There's my shine bug reactor. Let's look at the radiation. Looks like we're generating 500 rads on that tile right there. So every day we're making half, 1.5, on average, 150 kilograms of diamond. Something's going on, and we're not having births in our place again. Something happened. We didn't count things. And our little buddy never made it across. We made a bit of insulite. Yep, insulite for tiles of insulation. Each one is 200 kilograms, so we can make 6 tiles of insulite insulation. How close are we on our drill cones? We're doing all right. All right, now that we got this open, let's dig it a little bit more and actually put in some good stuffs here. Dang. I need a place to... This is filling up, so we need a place to do something with this. And I'm talking to myself about power here, because I really want the power to be working. We could dump the plastic in here. All right, so to power our plastic production, we're going to use a generator. I think we're not going to put the generator right here. Maybe we're going to put it over closer to the end and use the natural vacuum tiles to help get rid of like the carbon dioxide and stuff. So if we just close this off here, then none of that none of the petroleum is going to get into this room here. Close this off so that those rooms right there just don't have any access to anything other than vacuum around it. It will be the temperature it needs to be. All right, so we're going to set up the petroleum generator here, and then we're going to do the plastic. So let's get this stuff together. Nope, it's refinement. So we're going to use mesh tiles so that anything that drips out of here just drips away from those. I guess I could just leave them in polluted oxygen, or we could just cool off the steam, like have it cool off its own steam with the petroleum that comes in there, and then that would be a method of cooling off all this stuff. We'll see what we do. We're gonna want to make sure we have enough power here for our petroleum generator, so we use a smart we use a smart battery here, and we're just going to lead this on a little bit more here. Great. Now we got a little setup for plastic and petroleum. It should just handle itself here. And then we're going to take all the plastic out of here and make sure we got everything in here. So all the tiles probably should be made out of steam so that it doesn't overheat. Now we can make it out of whatever out of this because it's not going to be too hot. And then just dump that plastic right there. Over here, we want to make our little data disk dispensary. So we're going to make some data disks in this area right here out of the plastic that we're making. So once they get working on this wall, we'll get our data disks into this area here. And then down there will be even more factory. Data disks. We're going to put a wall right here. See, and I think that this is, we could, yeah, great. So we want our data disks to be in a vacuum other than, and we're going to use we're going to use a conveyor emptier. What is it? The liquid. What do you call those things? Anyway, you'll see. One of the back wall building coolers. And we'll cool off it, or we're going to cool off our data production with that. Will you find that for me? Yeah, what a convection panel. So we're going to build a convection panel room in here. By the way, don't build like this. I am building the cart before the horse here. What you should be doing is you should be building your data disk and the inputs and the outputs, and then you should be putting the secondaries in right after that. So what I'm doing here is I'm thinking, oh, well, if we just conduction panel here, we can cycle it with the hydrogen and really chill this off. This will chill the data drives to super cool if we use the output of this stuff before we throw it into a rocket. It absolutely will be super frozen. This doesn't work because we can't put pipes here. Yeah, we can't do that. So we're going to have to move this over a little bit here. So let's move it over one, and we'll trim up everything and make it line up a little bit better. I don't need that. And while I don't think that this is necessarily the greatest way of chilling this room off, it works. It works for the most part, especially if you start, if you get it cooled off, it will stay cool. We have enough degree variance in the hydrogen that it won't overcome the data disk. But really, supercoolant is where we're at, and we just want to get a hydrogen rocket enough to where we can find a fullerene asteroid, and then we have supercoolant. Let's put a spore child in there. Sporkid. Beautiful little spot for all of our happiness needs there, or all of our shovel needs. And are we ever going to see a shovel ever again? No, because this is not a shovel playthrough. Yeah, look, something's up. We're doing something wrong here. The shine eggs are getting loaded in here, but they're not getting released. So I made a mistake with this thing. I shouldn't have turned the sensor off. I should turn the sweeper off. You live and you learn. So let's deconstruct this, and I learned my lesson. We really should be just putting them in that other room and then having them get dropped off here. I'm looking to see if there's any eggs in here. There's not. So they are, in fact, getting dropped off right there, which is what we want. Around 500 rads, which is only a quarter of the rads that we can even handle for this. I think 1500 is where it's going to be at. And then at 1500, we can turn off one of them, and then we're still producing 300 kilograms of diamond a go around. All right, we got him wrangled. Let's make sure that he gets into the right area here. Move him. I should have done that anyway. Notice how all of the babies that got dropped, they're all gone now. So they had tags on them and they didn't get fed. And so those got killed off. I just realized instead of a weight sensor, I should use a duplicate sensor. Because shinebug eggs, in theory, could get put right there. Oh, did you see what happened? He did not trigger the weight of that. So he's going to do it again. He's not triggering the weight of that, which is not good. Oops. We need to set that down to something that is going to be his weight, like 30 kilograms. I don't know, 20 kilograms. The weight of a duplicant, I think, is like 200 kilograms, but I don't know why that didn't turn on. Probably because I'm not certain. Let's check this out. It's doing all right here. Let's go ahead and find our data disk thing. It's in stations. Okay, I guess we're going to do our data disk. For some reason, I make them out of iridium. I expect that they're going to get hot. I don't know. And let's not make those out of. Let's not make that wire out of iridium. We don't need that. Those conveyor belts don't need to be made out of iridium. Yeah, there you go. And then let's set it up so that it will fill that line up first before it starts doing other. This is kind of on an every other pattern here. I want to get... Nope, man, it's in stations. It's in stations. No. You just didn't notice it. I'm like, did I research this thing? I did. Yep, it's right there. Okay. It clearly says it's a station. There we go. So it really doesn't matter what it's made out of, but I make it out of steel. And then I don't want the power, or I don't want the heat to be conducted anywhere. So we're just trying to keep as much out of that room as possible. And you're going to see that I just ignore the philosophy anyway. And when it comes to putting everything into the rest of that stuff into the room. We're going to hook that up. All that's good. Plumbing in there is okay. but it could be used to cool off what's coming in. So, and then we should be using it to cool off what's coming or what is already down there, and then um, feed it into the petroleum generator or the plastic afterwards after it's heated up, and then it'll hit its minimum, and we're cooling while also destroying the heat that we're generating. I want this stuff to happen pronto, but I don't have enough suits here. I'm considering using my insulite here to uh, wall off any temperature issues that we're going to have here. And then it changed to sedimentary rock right there, so we didn't even get our full break. And I really wasted one piece of insulite right there because I didn't use that top corner piece of insulite. It's just sitting there. So much time just spent in warning mode. All that does is just stress my duplicates out. Again, we're just short of diamond on 2 of them. We got all of these ready to be harvested. We're just like full on food right now. We're doing so well on our food that um it's just like there's just too much of it. And that's okay. That's a good problem to have. Rads are growing up. This is sending rad bolts in a 50, and I set it up to 100, and then I noticed that this isn't actually doing anything. It's sending the rad bolt down, and then it's just shipping it off. So we have an oopsie in the way it's supposed to be. Water pipe is water piping. We never hooked this up, and so now we need to put those in there so it'll fill up. And what are we missing here? Okay, there we go. Now it'll connect. Yay. Now we'll fill up these tanks with brine, and then we'll just deconstruct them and reconstruct them and have a bunch of brine. Nice cold brine. This Atmos sensor is once again screwing everything up, and it's just time to deconstruct this thing, man. I'm just gonna leave. I'm just gonna leave the doors open, and we'll see what happens. I don't. I'm wondering if we actually ever are going to out or overpressure the system. I just don't think we are. We put way too much water in this system here. Look at how low those temperatures are. They're not transferring across the way. We have a definite heat gap, a cool and heat gap in our steam room here. Because that's saying 231, but then you come over here and you got like 173. Yeah. Back on up here, and let's take a look at our data driver. They are running up and down, left and right. Doot, doot, doot. That seems to be being made just fine. Ooh, new printables are available. A lumbit, yay! I like lumbits. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was saying, looks like we have a little bit of time to start digging stuff out and actually putting in projects into this base. This is just going to keep increasing, and we're going to send in um rad bolts. I'm just trying to get him to send those rad bolts across a little bit faster. I need the diamond. We need diamond, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I'm not gonna let you go until we get this data miner running. So let's put in the a sweeper. Where do we want to put that? It doesn't really matter, but if we put it right there, I think I put it right in the middle. And then this, if we put our conveyor receptacle right, or conveyor loader there, then we can ship the hot data disks out much faster than if we just used just if we put it like on the other side and then shipped it across the room. Although most of this stuff is going to be in a vacuum, so hopefully we're not having too much of a problem here. And again, I'm trying to seal this room up so that it's just actively cooled um, by supercoolant eventually. And then that's how we're going to get the achievement for the super cool stuff. There's other ways of doing it, but I'm really just aiming to get supercoolant. And once we have supercoolant, then we're good. We're building this with supercoolant in mind. So this is going to get cooled off by, say, like the oxygen as opposed to the hydrogen. This isn't. Why aren't these pipes being made? It's weird. They just don't seem to be wanting to be made. Once we get this uh petroleum in here, we'll get the data press. We're so close. Mere minutes from freedom here. How do I want to do this? I guess we're just going to drop the data disks right here for now. And then we'll put in the future, we'll put in some automation up front so that only plastic gets sent into this room here. So let's get this on. Too many high priority tasks. All right, so now we got plastic. Next thing, we need power. Once this kicks off, then we should start getting our power here. And this is full on batteries, so that's why it's full on battery, which is why the petroleum generator is not running, but also the petroleum generator doesn't have any fuel for it. So we need to watch that happen. Watch for that one. Now our data disk thing got fed, and so it's going to start making disks. And it's going to start fueling these guys. So really, we've closed the loop. And hey, one of our rockets even launched. We didn't even do anything to cause it to launch. It automatically launched away for us. Uh-oh. That's not good. No, was it a pipe that we broke? Oh, I see. What happened was the sulfur cooled down. Also, that room doesn't have any steam in it anymore up top. Need to add in more steam into that room. Everything's able to chill down. So instead of just doing that crazy long loop, we're just going to do this little short loop and then let the water cool it off, the polluted water cool it off. I think that's a more satisfying way to do it than leading it all the way around. Let the aqua tuner be the one who carries all the heat. Hey, this thing's running. Let's deprioritize some things. That's a mop errand that couldn't be fulfilled. Yes, finally, this room is done. Let's seal it up. Oh, we didn't ever build that thing, please. We're gonna build it out of steel for the temperature, even though it's not gonna matter. It's if it melts, it melts. We'll have a room full of steel. But here we go. Now we're producing data disks with the plastic that we got from the missions that were already going on. So let's add in plastic here. Plastic. Boom. Now we're going to feed that, and it's going to feed into that other room here. Or I meant to. Yeah, there we go. Now it'll feed in there. All right, now that it's fully fed in there, so we should do one of these numbers here. And it's going to want to go back into white, so let's trim these up here. There we go. We'll let that connect. Oh, it's stuck. That's fine. So it's going to try and fill up this room here first and do the data disk thing. If there's not, or if there's still plastic just sitting in there, then the overflow gets turned into the plastic that we're using normally. And then we're going to use the oxygen to cool off the conveyors, and we're going to use the hydrogen to cool off the data tuner. The data miner, sorry. Infinite. Hurry up. You delivered the steel? Why? Why did you only deliver part of the steel? I really feel like I need to dig this out down below and over, and so that it's just hanging in its own little vacuum. Did I never connect that? Oh, I forgot to even connect that. We must have canceled something. You know, here's an idea. How about we cool this thing off with the petroleum? We'll just cool all of the stuff off with the petroleum that's getting consumed anyway. It'll keep the room, or this room in here, nice 20 or 29. But then the other room, it can get hotter with the steam and stuff. And until we get excess amounts of oxygen and hydrogen. All right, we got everything in here. Everything's fed. These have cooling. Everything looks great. This is going to be the same temperature as the contents inside of it. Seal this room up. Boom. Data disks. And you can see that there's 105 C right now. It's kind of hot, so it's really slow production. It reaches 100% production at 0 degrees. So we have, and then it reaches it reaches positive 527% when you get down to minus 273 Kelvin centigrade, because Kelvin would be 0, wouldn't it? Oh geez, now we're having power problems. Look at this line is just everywhere. Let's snip this. We'll let the petroleum run this whole thing. So as we get petroleum in, it should run and work and everything should work just fine. It doesn't because we didn't set a bottom limiter to our power. So when we run out of petroleum, bad things happen. Is what ends up happening. So we're going to trim this off so that it does the right thing. And then we're going to trim this one off and just use petroleum for now. So let's hook this up as though it's going to be using petroleum. Do down and oopsie, and then it's got to go around, and then it's got to. Did I make an oopsie here? Down, around, and over. So it looks like. Looks like I got to make a jump right here. Bloop. And we're just going to connect all this stuff up to the same loop for now. It's going to come up here, and then it's going to go straight across in. I'll trim all this stuff up for now. And then we need to put a jump here so that it can be cooled off. Yep. So let's build the jump or something. That's a weird place to put the jump now, isn't it? What do I want to do that for? Oh, I guess I'm jumping the inside in. Okay, I get it. Yeah. Okay, so with one jump, we can get it all the way looped around. And then now it's going to be cooled. As you can see, the petroleum, we're starting to lose a little bit of petroleum, but what we're doing is we're generating tons of plastic. Lots of plastic. Oh, we can't. That doesn't need to be. Yeah, sweep, deliver, grab more plastic. It's fantastic. Great. Thank you for watching. This has been an episode, hasn't it? Too many priorities, and I bet a lot of things are starting to go wrong and behind the scenes, and we're not really paying attention to them. Like power. Well, thanks for this. We're gonna the next thing is active cooling. So stick around, and we'll keep playing Oxygen Not Included, and go out and get some supercoolant. Thanks for watching. Bye.